Welcome to the White Rabbit YouTube channel. My name is Alan, and this is my conspiracy theory map of the world. This is a map painting that I painted of all the conspiracy theory locations around the world. I have many topics in the legend here which I will be introducing to you very shortly. To start things off, I will tell you about 1421, which is basically about the ancient Chinese circumnavigated the globe 50 years before Christopher Columbus discovered America. So, to start off, we have the ancient Chinese all up and down the North and South American coast, from Alaska to Mexico to South America to Antarctica, Kerguelen, Australia, Kenya, all over the place. And there's a good reason for that, which I will tell you about in a future video. Moving on to anomalies. There are several anomalies around the world. Basically, for me, an anomaly is something that I couldn't place under one of these other headlines. Alright, to start anomaly off, we have the Baltic Sea anomaly, which is basically like a giant rock or meteorite at the bottom of the Baltic Sea, which resembles the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars. It's not the Millennium Falcon, but it looks very similar to it. And if you have any electrical equipment, like video camera or sound recording things, anywhere near in the vicinity of the anomaly, they will stop working, but they'll turn back on when you leave the area. So that is very intriguing, and I will be making a video about that very shortly, so keep an eye out for that. Alright, next we have Atlantis. Atlantis has four main plausible locations. First, we have Antarctica. We have the Bermuda Triangle, we have next to the Canary Islands, and my very favorite is in the Sahara Desert. Basically, it wasn't always a desert. It used to be full of vegetation, jungle, rivers, and lakes. And according to Plato, the Atlas mountain range was to the north of the city. In this case, these mountains are called the Atlas mountain range. And there are other key factors to suggest that this was one of the ideal locations for Atlantis, but I will be making separate videos on all these four locations, and you can decide which one you think is most plausible. Alright, now we've got pyramids. So the pyramid symbol symbolizes either one or many pyramids in the area. For example, we have Egypt here. In China we've got one too, but in China there are actually hundreds of pyramids. I should actually say at least 100 pyramids in China, and I'll tell you this one is for Taiwan. There's a pyramid on the top of one of the tallest mountains, and you can check it out. I will be making a video of myself going there and showing you the way, so if you're interested, keep an eye out for that one. Alright, there is Radioactive. Radioactive, these places you might want to avoid going to, so it's good to know where they are. My two favorite stories of radioactivity are in Chernobyl and Fukushima, because strange things happened. Basically, when the nuclear power plant was melting down and just about to go critical and, destroy the lives of many more people than it actually did, a very friendly U.F.O came above and sucked up all the radiation, and the power plant did not go critical. It did not have a nuclear meltdown, and Europe has been saved by the nice aliens. Alright, and then we have Fukushima, where almost the exact same thing happened. There was a tsunami that came ashore and destroyed the facilities of the nuclear power plant in Fukushima. And just as it was about to melt down, another UFO came by to suck up the radiation, and there was no meltdown. I will show you a clip about that in the video that I make for this story. Moving on to the next one, we have Megalith. Megalith is any kind of giant structure. There are many megaliths all over the world, from Peru to Lebanon to China and The story I will tell you is Nan Madol. Nan Madol was one of the capital cities of the continent of Mu. You can see the submerged landmass here. So according to the locals, the aboriginals of the area, they have the oral history passed down from generations which say that the Nan Madol fortress was built with basalt stones, kind of like giant tree trunks size, and they were levitated into place. Who knows how? Some people know. Maybe I'll make a story about that one too. Actually, I definitely will. All right, so moving on to giants. This is a very good topic. Most people think giants are legends from the past, from the Bible. It's maybe not real, but I'm here to tell you that giants are real. They are living among us right now. Most of them are underground, but they do come out on occasion. Like in the case of the Kandahar giant in Afghanistan. The Kandahar giant in Afghanistan was minding his own business, living in his mountain cave when he was disturbed by the U.S. military looking for the bad guys. And so he had to defend himself, and he killed a platoon of American soldiers. And then, of course, the military can't let that stand, so they sent another platoon to investigate to see what had happened. And then, at the very moment they found the mouth of the entrance cave, they saw all kinds of evidence that their team were deceased. And just at that moment is when the red-haired giant came out of the cave, threw a spear at one of the soldiers and killed him instantly. And luckily, the American soldiers were able to retaliate and take the giant down. And then, of course, the U.S. military sent a giant helicopter to take away the giant and send him to the Clark Air Force Base, which is where they keep all the giants that are collected from around the world. They don't want normal people to know about this kind of thing happening. So, shh. All right. Moving on to aliens. Everybody loves aliens. Actually, they shouldn't. There are good and bad aliens. As you know, the aliens that came to Chernobyl and Fukushima are the good aliens because the radiation would affect their lives as well, so they made sure it didn't get crazy. But there are several UFO stories around the world. If you want, you can help me by writing in the comments locations and pictures and comments of other places UFOs or aliens have been seen. In this example, I will tell you about the Battle of Los Angeles. This story happened in 1942. Basically, it's World War II. The Japanese want to intimidate the Americans by sending a submarine to the Santa Monica coast, shooting off a few shots, and making the American populace scared of the Japanese, in which they should be. So they prepared themselves. They got anti-aircraft guns and searchlights for airplanes. And they were on high alert. And wouldn't you know, there was something detected on the radar. The first radar picks up a signal 100 miles out from the coast, coming in fast. The second radar station picks up the same signal. And finally, a third radar station very close to Los Angeles picked up the same signal again. There were hundreds of reports of eyewitnesses, civilians, as well as military personnel. So this is a real story. There were pictures in the New York Times. So basically, the UFO came above the city and all the anti-aircraft guns were shooting at the UFO. Of course, the UFO was undamaged. And the very next day in the Army news report, they said that, oh, of course, it's just a weather balloon and nothing to be worried about, as they always do. Make things simpler. All right. Moving on to the inner Earth. The inner Earth is one of my very favorite conspiracy theory topics. As you can see, it's kind of like a little tunnel symbol. And they're here in Russia, in Canada, in America, in Brazil. We have these all over the world. And in this map, you can have a better view of the actual entrances, which are labeled on the bottom, along with the maps of the inside of the world. So basically, this is our planet cut in half, and it's like two sides of a penny, and I will be doing a video on each of these locations in future videos. The very next video will be about Mel's Hole, which is located in Washington County, the Manastash Ridge near Ellensburg. It's a great story. Stay tuned for that one. All right, moving on to portals. There are several kinds of portals. Some portals can move you from one place to another place in the known world. Other portals can move you to parallel universes and or to the inner earth. All right, so portal, here is the Grand Canyon. Here's one in Bali. Watch out where you go. Harp. Harp basically is a weather control station. They shoot radio waves into the ionosphere, and they can make earthquakes happen in certain areas. They can make a typhoon or hurricane go to an area or push it away from a certain area. So if there's a hurricane coming towards Florida, America can do something to push it back. Not every time. It's a scientific working effort. Moving on to the triangles. Triangles, everybody I'm sure knows about the Bermuda Triangle, where there are hundreds and airplanes and people and ships missing every year. But what most people wouldn't know is that there are several triangles around the world. The most two famous being the Bermuda Triangle and the Dragon's Triangle in Asia, where many American ships during World War II disappeared because they didn't know there was this problematic disappearing area. And of course, there's the MH370 disappearance as well. There's also the Alaskan Triangle, the Area 51 Triangle, the Michigan Triangle, and the Bennington Triangle, as well as a few more, which will all be covered in future videos. Thank you very much. And then we have the Nazis. The Nazis are not about Germany, which would be here under Denmark. They're all about stories that happened before or after the war. So in this example, I'll tell you about Austria. Before the start of World War II, Himmler had to collect these ceremonial objects of power from around the world, and the most important one that was the Spear of Destiny, which was the spear that actually killed Jesus Christ. And it was said that whoever holds or possesses this spear cannot lose in battle. So Hitler had to have it, as well as other locations, which I will tell you about in future videos. As I earlier mentioned earlier, the submerged landmasses. There is the continent of Mu, as well as Lemuria, and this is also the continent of Mu from one side of the map to the other. We have Doggerland and Friesland, and basically these are sunken continents that used to be above the waterline before the last reset. But that's a whole different story involving Tartaria and also involving the outer continents, which I will mention again very shortly. Actually, I'll mention it right now, because here is to the ice wall. As you can see, this arrow is pointing to nothingness because the ice wall could not be painted on a flat map. I had to paint it a separate map, which is this map, to show the ice wall. So as you can see here in the middle, we have the known world, which is where we live. We have the ice wall around the known world and a few entrances. For example, here is the Summer Gate and a few other gates here and there to get to the outer islands. Here is the continent of Asgard, as well as some other ones that I will mention in future videos. There is a lot to say about this subject, but I'm not going to go into that right now. We also have the monster category, which on my map, I don't have so many monsters, but it definitely had to be on there. I've got the Loch Ness Monster, I've got the not extinct dinosaur from the Congo, And I'm hoping you guys can give me more information about other monsters around the world. Maybe a Yeti sighting or Bigfoot, something like that. But I need some kind of proof. So ideally a picture and a location. I'm good with that. All right. The last category is time travel. Of course, it's not so easy to put time travel on a map, but to do my best, I will share with a story of the chronovisor. The chronovisor is a device built by the mathematician clergy that allows them to view the past. It's pretty complicated, great story. I'm looking forward to telling you about that next time. So, in all, here is my conspiracy theory map of the world. If you have any questions about certain locations, feel free to ask me in the comments. I also have the inner Earth map. This will have a dedicated video just for that, as well as the outer continents map and ice wall story. So if you liked what you saw, I greatly appreciate if you could like, share, and subscribe. Thanks a lot.